you?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, what's going on? Let me flip to the... Okay, I see you on the TV now. All right.
I better hold this. It may be illegal or something.
I can hold anything I want.
Maybe. All right, toll booth.
All right. So first of all,
I'll have authorities around.
First of all, what you have to understand, you have to do all that. You hold all that. It's kind of like you did that before in the last video, and every bump and everything made it shake a lot.
That's cool.
No, it's not cool.
Hey, check this out.
What?
We're perfectly framed right now, and I know it because I can see the screen in the side view mirror.
All right, cool. So, just you know what? All right, we're at Crescent.
That's good editing.
So,
directing, I guess.
Yeah, editing. So
we're
really tired, and we're almost home. We're still another 30 minutes away, and we're at the toll booth now, and I have to pay a toll. But yeah, that's cool. So
do not back up.
You go ahead and keep me entertained over
there. All right. While Joe's paying, I'm gonna keep you entertained. I got nothing. Luckily, he's done.
Yeah, we're done now.
All right.
All right. So here's the situation. We never talked about the show we went to that we set up at. Last time we talked to you, were talking about where we got dinner and what we were about to do, and then we got dessert, and then we drove a bunch of times through New Jersey cities and stuff like that. We never talked about the show we were at.
Yes.
So we're gonna do a real quick recap of the show, because honestly, that's what this whole thing was about to begin with.
We went to there to be at the show.
So we went to the show, and I don't know how much time is left on the camera here. So we're gonna do a really good job here. And we're gonna bust through this. Now we're in a tunnel.
This is exciting.
It is exciting. All right, so we went to the show, and in the show were comic people selling comic books, and we were one of them.
Yep.
And we sold our books.
Well, I hit the zoom button or something.
Yeah, you did that before too. You want to hit down? See that's minus? I mean zoom out. There you go. All right, so cool.
This thing is crazy. All right.
So yeah, that was awesome. So we went to the show and we set up. We set our tables up, and we got copies of Secret Prison with our comic strip in it, and we sold them. We didn't sell those; those are free.
Right.
And we set up our table with all of our books and our buttons and our prints and our new issue, Justice Camp, and the limited edition version of Justice Camp, which is a really neat little package that a lot of people slept on today. And when I say a lot of people, I mean everybody but one. And it was really awesome. But we'll have those in the future. So if you see us, you'll be like, I want to be Justice Camped. And I won't probably know what that means.
Like,
you can explain.
Isn't that what you told me to do? And we'll be like, oh yeah, for the book. Here you go.
Sorry, that was weeks ago, motherfucker.
$2, please.
So we had our books out, and then people came in and they tried to buy them, or they didn't try to buy them, whatever. And then you can tell a funny anecdote from the show. Tell a funny story.
There was a really weird dude that wanted the guy next to it to do sketches for him in a sketchbook.
Oh, that guy was great. You tell us this. Good story. Good story.
So he was like, "Are you doing sketches? How much?" And I was like, "I don't know, $5." Okay. And he was like, "Do it in my sketchbook." You have two. Oh, the guy says, "Is there a theme for your sketch?" He said, "Oh, you have two options."
Well, first he said, "Yeah, you have two options." Sorry, you're right. I'm sorry. You go.
This sketchbook is all Green Lanterns, and this sketchbook is various characters of the DC universe.
What was great about that is not just that he said there were two options. One is Green Lantern, one is something else. So the kid goes, or it's not really a kid, unfortunately. He said, "This book is Green Lantern," and the guy, without skipping a beat, his name was Steve. And he went, "What's the other option?"
Yep.
And then it was like other characters.
I'm gonna assume option B, whatever the fuck it is.
And what turned out to be was just more characters from the DC universe.
And he had this weird little packet of reference material, just print out pictures of characters.
It was like a notebook.
He was, I don't know, man. He was a pervert, I think.
Probably. He smelled like a pervert.
Nothing ever in the entire situation was sexual whatsoever, but I think he was a pervert.
I don't know, man. When he saw his sketches, I think it got sexual in nature. So wait, so you weren't around for the end of the day a little bit.
Right.
And he came back and he was talking to Steve. And so Steve was asking him about, like, he was trying to get him to talk about the show. And the guy was like, you know, this isn't really my kind of show.
Yeah.
You know, this is, I'm more of a white bread kind of guy. And Steve was like, well, you know, what do you mean? And it's, well, you know, the stuff here is a lot of, you know, it seems to be a lot of angst. And Steve was like, I can see that. And he goes, yeah, you know, if it's angst mixed with lightheartedness, then, you know, it's okay for me. But I really like superheroes. I'm more of a superhero guy. You know, but you know, what happened was I found out about the show, and he said he looked him up online, so he knew he liked his art.
Whoa, so he stalked Steve at this show.
I swear to God. And then
I didn't know any of this. This is amazing.
Yeah, this is a good story.
Here's the thing. It's not like Steve does superhero comics.
No,
okay?
he just does little comics, man.
The comic we got from him was about a talking alligator and a fucking sentient, talking, living
bottle of beer.
Bottle of beer.
It was empty too. Empty bottle of beer.
So he looked up the people like, oh, a comic show. Who's going to be there? Whoa.
Which means he probably went to our website too.
Indie weirdos.
Oh my God, this person's wearing mascara.
Hey, this one draws pretty good though. Maybe he'll draw my superheroes for me.
Maybe he won't. I don't know, he did though. So
he did.
So what's awesome is that means he went around and he went to him specifically. And he was like, would you draw me a Green Lantern? And it was awesome. And so yeah, he was trying to get him to talk about the shows and stuff. And this guy was really not having any of it. And he was talking about how books are more of a gut reaction kind of thing. And I don't know what he meant by that, because the next thing he said was, I like to go home and think about the things I saw and see if I want to get any of it. Ooh, which is the opposite of a gut reaction.
That sounds like an anti-gut reaction.
That sounds like the opposite of a gut reaction, man.
This dude was
And he's like,
stupid.
you know, some books, you know, I either have to like the writing or I have to like the art. And a lot of these books, I don't really like either. Which is a ridiculous claim to make, because, like, normally, you know, a lot of people, they buy books all the time where they're like, oh, the art shit and the writing is terrible, but I will buy it. And this guy has the really hard measure to meet. Oh, I better like one of the two aspects of this two-aspect art.
Yeah. There's the thing about comic books. Some have the good art and some have the good writing.
And if it doesn't have at least one of those,
I don't know.
This guy was great. So not only did he come up and he said, oh, would you do me a sketch? And Steve was like, so what's the other option? DC Universe characters. So then he busts out his handbook to the DC Universe, I guess. I don't know. And Steve's flipped through it.
Handbook.
So, I don't know Steve personally. I'm just saying it by name so we keep everything straight.
Right.
I mean, we hung out today, but, you know, we're just table mates.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like we're mates.
No.
And, but it was funny because I got the impression he really doesn't know too much about your standard superhero comic. And so he's flipping through and he's like, this is a world of wonder to him, these characters. And he sees one, he goes, so who's this guy? And it said the Trickster on there, because that's who it was the Trickster. And he goes, I guess I can do him. And so, and the kid was like, all right, that's awesome. So he left and he comes back and he gets a really nice sketch of this character, the Trickster, who, if you're not familiar, wears a green jacket and a flower in it, and he likes to trick people. And maybe he's just a liar, I don't know.
The liar. Doesn't have the same ring to it.
So the guy leaves and he comes back, and I wasn't even paying attention. And I think I was drawing something, and Rusty was doing something too. And I remember, like, leaning over, did you just hear what the guy came back and said? And he said, would you do another sketch for me? And Steve said yes. And then Steve kind of just sat there for a moment. He goes, Green Lantern this time? And the guy was like, yeah.
I needs my Green Lantern. Jesus.
So did you see what he drew?
No.
Alright, so he's flipping through the book of Green Lantern reference material. Oh, and the other one, the other book that he had all these character pieces for, like, you know, what does Apocalypse look like, or what does Superman's granddaughter look like? And so he gets to some of them have papers on them. And he says, well, what do these mean? And he says, well, if it has a little note on there, that means I've already gotten a drawing of them. So, you know, don't do them. So he opens up the Green Lantern book, and he goes, so is it the same in here? Is, you know, if there's little papers, does that mean, he goes, oh, no, I don't have that. For the Green Lantern characters, I don't have that. But I just don't want the one that had been done before. So, you know, now he don't want 2 pages of his favorite superhero, you know?
Don't put Kilowog after Kilowog.
That's ridiculous. So he goes to the book,
fucking idiot,
turning pages, and there's all his Emerald Armor people, and oh, what's this? And then he gets to the Red Lanterns. And he's like, oh, these are interesting. And then he looks around, and there's all these people spitting up red shit. And
for those that don't know, you know who Green Lantern is. Well, they did a storyline.
Maybe not, man.
Maybe not. I don't know. It's the guy with the ring, and he can make green shit.
What's the ring look like?
A lantern. It's pretty cool. So they introduced these other characters where they had red lanterns and yellow lanterns and orange lanterns. Well, the red lanterns were just really angry. And the way they would express this would be they'd freak out and they would start throwing up blood and crying blood. And it was the most ridiculous fucking thing in the world.
So he finds this one red lantern and he's like, what's this guy's name? Arawak? And he goes, yes. And he goes, he looks pretty interesting. I think I'll draw him. And what this guy is, he's a little ball. He is a ball with arms and like a gnarly face, like, I'm angry face. And he goes, looks like he has 4 arms. Well, I can't really see. Is there an arm here? Because part of this picture, his arm was covered. And the guy goes, I think so. So Steve's like, okay, I'll draw him. And so he drew this little ball of anger. Gives it to the kid, and then he's happy. And then the kid comes back. And
just a reminder, when Joe's saying this kid, this dude was like in his 30s, man.
He wasn't in his 30s.
He was in his 30s, man.
Oh man.
He was like, yeah, all right.
He was like maybe 28, possibly 29.
All right.
He's not in his 30s. You can tell. You can tell because you know how you can tell. He was trying to get Green Lantern drawings, man. That shit falls off.
Well,
after turn 30.
That would mean he was in his 8s or 9s, okay? 8 or 9-year-olds went drawing Green Lantern.
Well, just like in the 1920s, or the Roaring 20s.
Yeah.
They have like the baby 8s.
The Green Lantern 8s.
So that was a good story.
Yeah, it was.
So we had fun at the show, and there were lots of people. Some people bought stuff. Most people didn't. We did a couple of adventure portraits for people. Mm-hmm. It was fun, you know, because most people see the sign like, "What's an adventure portrait?" And you explain it to them, and they get really excited. One guy got so excited, he thought an adventure portrait was one of our comics, which I don't understand how you can understand that. Wow,
Free adventure portrait was purchased, and then he bought a button, and he was like, "I'll take this issue." It was like you had to explain.
I almost let him go, but it was so bizarre.
It was so different and weird.
I was like, no, it's an adventure portrait. It's different. And so I started drawing him a picture. I drew him a pretty good picture.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
It was the one in the cave or the dungeon or whatever. And he wanted to
No, that was the Umbrella.
Oh, yeah. It was the guy who was running the door for the show.
Yeah, early in the day he made a joke about supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
I asked him how he was doing, and he said that. And I said, man, you seem like you're trying too hard. And he was like, what? And he didn't really know how to handle that.
And he made a joke out of it. That dude, man, that dude was the chipperest motherfucker in the world.
Yeah, nothing fazed him.
When we were leaving the release party afterwards, he saw me. He was like, "Man, you guys heading out?" And I said, "Oh, we're just going to get some stuff out of the car because we were just going to get some stack of secret prisons to bring back to Maryland." And he goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, man, spread love, yeah, like, woo!" That dude was crazy. But.
Yeah, so we drew one for him, and he accidentally took a comic, thinking it was that. And I don't know, we had other people. The best story is that one woman who came and was just browsing through stuff, and she picked up 2 random comics.
She picked up 2 issues. In fact, I think she might even asked us to recommend 2. If I was going to get 2 of these, what should I get?
Did she?
Maybe. So she got 2 comics, and then she left. She came back later and said, "I went outside and I read your comics, and they were so funny. I had to come back and buy all the rest." And so she did. And that was fucking awesome.
Well, that didn't happen more than the once, right? But it did happen then. And
that was one time was enough, awesome. Man. It made my day.
Because that's what they are, you know. It's nothing better. And you can experience this a lot if you go like to multi-day shows. The first day you might buy something, and you read it that night, and the next day you got to go back and get more because it was so. I want to say that we received a couple compliments on our strip. In the secret prison, people that already read it.
People, oh, I remember you all had a strip in there, right? It was funny, because it was.
It was very funny. It was a really neat strip, and from what I've seen, it was totally different than anything else in there.
Absolutely.
Which isn't hard because a lot of those things in there are very different from each other.
From each other, yeah. There's a lot. There's like 20 different things in there, yeah.
And so that's really cool. And so, but it was nice that these other people thought, you know, oh, yours is really good too.
Yeah, we were good. Purveyors of the free
made a good sign for
comic newspaper, telling people that it featured a lot of Philly alternative Comic Con creators.
And you were very good about making sure you mentioned to people as they were browsing.
Oh, and do you have a copy of Secret Prison?
A lot of people did.
No. So that was good. Got them in people's hands. We have a nice stack in the trunk right now.
Probably like 100, I'd say 100.
I'd say 100 of them. On the way back to Maryland, we're going to take to some various comic stores and locations in Maryland, D.C., and Virginia.
Yep. Everybody's going to get to experience it. They're going to get to see our strip.